Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Alice and in today's video I want to share with you 20 things that I do not buy or own in the healthcare and beauty departments. Now, in case you don't know me, I am working towards eco-minimalism, which means that I'm really working towards reducing my buying, not only to reduce my impact on the environment, but also because I really want to cut off from my life all those things that don't really matter to me so that I can only have stuff that really have a value for me. Apparently the health and beauty department is really the one in which I cut off the most somehow, so I thought it could be nice to have a full video dedicated to it. Now let's get into it. The number one thing I cut off is conditioner. Honestly, my hair do not care whether I use it or not. The only difference I ever notice is that when I use it, my sink gets clogged, so I just stopped using it. Also, number two, I do not buy hair masks anymore. I don't do a ton of them just because I shower in the morning right before going to work, so I just don't have the time for it. But every once in a while I do a mask, and normally I do either a pre-wash mask with coconut oil or I do a flaxseed mask. Either way, these are things that I already have in my kitchen for other reasons, so I do not need to buy anything specific for my hair. Also, don't buy any styling products anymore. I used to try a lot of them, but they all had the same problem. First day, great hair. From the second day on, disgusting. They looked like completely dirtied and I had to rewash them again, and that was really not good for my hair. So since I stopped using them, maybe my curls are a little bit less defined, but they are definitely healthier. I stopped buying hair ties. Personally, I just need one good scrunchie, but I find hair ties on the street all the time, so I just sanitize them and use them. And even before that, actually, I was making my own hair ties, cutting off all the ties. This is a very good way to have free hair ties that no one else ever used before, or that you didn't find them on the street if that's bother you, by upcycling something that would be otherwise very, very difficult to recycle. So again, great win-win. I also do not really buy bobby pins anymore. I still use them, but at some point I realized that I was like losing them and buying them at a ridiculous rate. And yes, they're not very expensive, but they still add up, and that really annoyed me. So I kind of made a promise with myself that that would have been my last bobby pin set. And since I decided that, I actually started to really take great care of them. I always put them back, and the result is that I've been using the same set for I think 5 years at this point, so I'm pretty happy. The last thing in the hair department is hair styling tools like special brushes, irons, anything like this. There has been a period, honestly, in which I was always straightening my hair, and that took a very long time because my hair are like this long, and they are pretty curly, so it was a complicated process. Plus I was living in Venice, and with all the humidity my hair tend to like go back in their shape very fast, so I had to do it every day, and that created kind of a dependency circle in the sense that I didn't want to go out if my hair weren't done, but doing my hair took so long that I basically never had the time to go out, and that was ridiculous. When I realized that, thank God I did, I decided to stop, and I really worked more on building confidence around my own hair, and that saved me a ton of time, ton of money in product, but most importantly, it's really nice to look at the mirror and think, ooh, I like what I see, instead of starting pointing out everything I want to change about myself. So definitely huge gain in terms of self-confidence. Now, this was everything in the hair department. Before going ahead though, please remember to subscribe and to like this video. I always do videos about sustainability and minimalism, so if you're interested in that, please subscribe. I would really love to have you back. Now back to what I stopped buying. Now on to the rest. I also stopped buying body moisturizer. Honestly, I only use moisturizer when basically when I shave, so my skin is particularly fragile and irritated, and I use coconut oil. It's a pretty versatile thing, so that's what I use. And since we are talking about shaving, I also don't buy razor anymore. You always have to buy a new one, and again, they're cheap, but it adds up. I tend to always cut myself when I use them, and the shave lasts like nothing. So I switched to an electric razor ages ago, and I'm still using that one. And as a consequence, I obviously not buying shaving cream anymore. So Again, something else I needed to cut, but anyway, you don't really need shaving cream, you can just use soap. I also kind of stopped buying makeup. Now this warrants a little bit more of an explanation. Again, there has been a period in which I convinced myself that I needed to have makeup to be nice, and that the only reason why I wasn't really using a lot of makeup was because I didn't have it. So I bought a ton of it with the idea of finally learning how to use it. I think that in the same period in which I started accepting my hair, I also kind of started accepting my natural face. So as a result, I really do not like myself with makeup, even when it's done properly by someone who knows what they are doing, so not by me. And as a result, I didn't even try to learn how to use it because I never really enjoyed the results. So at this point I gave the majority of it away and I stopped buying the majority of makeup. Now there is still a small stash of makeup that I do actually enjoy using every once in a while, but I think I will make a dedicated video all about my minimalist makeup collection. And as a consequence, obviously I do not buy any makeup tool, and I also do not have any pocket mirror, which is great because, again, confidence wise, when I had one I was always fretting about my look and I was always checking it. Well, now I don't have it, I don't really have a way to look at myself, so I don't even worry about it. And if for whatever reason I really need to look at my face, I can just use my phone camera. Also, similar to the makeup, I kind of stopped buying skincare. Now again, I still have a minimalist skincare routine and I will do a video about it. But what I stopped doing is buying multiple versions of the same item because I'm not one for experiments, and those products always ended up being thrown away because they were expired. Similarly, I do not have an excessive amount of skincare product because I can't keep up with a very complicated and long routine. It doesn't work for me. So now I really downsize to what I actually use, and I just stopped experimenting basically. I also don't buy Minisizes for when I travel. I mean, they cost so much just because they are mini and they involve so much more plastic. So now I have a set of small bottles and I fill them up when I need it. And to be fair, since I went eco-minimalist, a lot of the stuff I'm using is solid to avoid waste, and I reduced a lot of the things I use, so I don't even use all of them. I'm considering gifting at least part of them away. And I also don't really have a Beautycase for when I travel anymore, mainly because my old Beautycase is actually not clear, so I can't use on a carry-on, and I didn't want to buy another one, so what I'm using is, wait a sec, I'll show you. Okay, what I use is this, which if you follow me on Instagram you have seen it a billion times. This is an old Ziploc bag that I have repurposed, and as you see at the moment as my tooth tubs, but yeah, this is more than enough. As you can imagine, I don't bring that much stuff with me when I travel, so this actually holds everything liquid and not liquid. And to conclude the aesthetic part, I think it's not difficult to imagine that I don't really buy any aesthetical treatments. I do not like people touching me, so I don't find them enjoyable whatsoever. The only thing I get done is my hair because I am unable to cut them myself, especially now that they are shorter. But really, that's it. Now, more into the healthcare department, I do not buy any intimate soap. That's because every gynecologist I talk to agree that at best those things are useless, and at worst they can actually be very irritating because of all the perfumes. Everyone agrees that everything you need is water, so everything I use is water. And for a very similar reason, I also don't buy mouthwash. Every single dentist I talk to agree that this is not meant to be used on a daily basis because it is a surgical disinfectant, so you have to use it when you have a medical reason to use it, and otherwise it's not a good idea. I remember I read somewhere that Listerine didn't really invent the mouthwash as much as they invented halitosis. So basically they created a problem so that we could buy their product. If you're really worried about your bad breath, what you can use is a tongue scraper, or honestly just brush your tongue with your toothpaste and toothbrush. And finally, I also don't really have a big medicine stash. Now apparently I'm very lucky, hope it continues, and I don't really need any medicine on a regular basis. And I noticed that every single time I actually needed something and I went to my stash, everything was expired, so I had to rebuy it anyway. So at this point I just buy stuff when I actually need them and use them, otherwise I don't need it. Hey, editing Alicia here. I am very sorry I forgot number 20, which would be Q-tips. I do not buy Q-tips anymore. This was my list, and now I am very curious to know what's in your list. What did you cut off in the health and beauty department, if even? And before concluding, definitely I want to say that I absolutely know that this is very personal, and for a lot of people makeup and skincare and all these things are very important for self-care, for confidence, and for someone is actually a requirement for their job. So I know that not everyone will cut off as much as I did. That's totally fine. I mean, the only reason why I cut off these things is that for me they don't really have a value, but if they do have a value for you, by all means go ahead and continue buying these things. I do not want to like pull you off. This video was mainly meant to be entertaining, not really to tell you what you have to buy or not to buy. And with that said, thank you so much for watching and see you next time. Bye!